Today I'm going to be roasting 3 directory websites built by fellow community members. These are first-time directory builders, and they're all pretty new. So I'll be taking a look at what they're doing right and where there are opportunities for improvement. Despite these directories being new, they've all experienced different levels of success already. One of them already has leads coming in for a high-ticket offer. So we'll be taking a look at on-page SEO, as well as maybe potential link building opportunities. And overall, hopefully the people who own these directories can come away with some actionable and tactical advice. Just looking at some of these directories for 30 seconds, I can see some common traps and mistakes that other people might be experiencing when they're building their first directory, and hopefully this will serve as a good lesson for anyone who is also kind of in the process of building their own directories for the first time. Now, if you have a directory that you want me to roast, then I highly recommend you join the free ShipYourDirectory community. This will probably be a little mini series, and that's the first place that I go to and ask people for their own websites. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check it out. The first directory we're going to roast today is daycarespot.com, and this is owned and built by Andy in the community. So thank you, Andy, for letting us use this as an example. What I like already is that based on the domain and the homepage, I can tell exactly what this directory is about. Find the best daycare near you. I think this is pretty solid. I want to look at the on-page SEO first, but real quick, I just wanted to show you that this directory is getting a little bit of traffic, 46 monthly visitors, and it was started roughly around early February of this year. And believe it or not, this directory has already gotten 2 leads as of yesterday. Andy is in the pro community, and he DM'd me and shared that he has 2 leads that inbounded saying, hey, I'm looking for daycare, which is pretty expensive, like $2,000 a month-ish. You know, he can take those leads and try to sell them. So clearly he's doing some things right if people are already finding this directory on Google, and it's trustworthy enough for people to go and send him a message. Now, starting with this homepage, we can see that there's this header, which should be a header 1. And we can see that it is right around here. From this header, it looks like you're targeting the keyword daycare, which I assume is pretty competitive. Yeah, I looked it up on Ahrefs, and we can see daycare near me does get a ton of volume right here, but it is pretty competitive. Best daycare near me here with 7,600 monthly searches, which looks like the keyword that you were targeting. I think that's fine. I would basically do exactly this if I had a header 1 on my homepage in this exact niche. We have a zip code and email here, which is cool. And then we have some actual listings. Find care in minutes, not months. So this looks like a header 2 right here. Now for this part, Andy, I would say you do have an opportunity here to include another keyword in your header 2. And maybe there's another way people describe daycares, or there's another kind of high search volume keyword that basically has the same search intent, or it's a long tail keyword that contains daycare. As we did see, we saw infant daycare or daycare for infants, and that might be a better keyword to include in your header 2. And then you also give context to what these listings are about. Because right now I'm looking at these 3 listings and I'm not sure how these are relevant. Oakland's not even close to me, so it's definitely not proximity based. So instead, maybe you can do 3 listings that specialize or offer infant daycare, and then you can include it in your header here. If you do go down that route, I would probably build upon this little sentence right here. It's really not doing much at the moment, and if you do have listings for infants, then you can kind of contextualize that and then add more paragraph text, which will avoid thin content. If you include variations of infant daycare in the body paragraph, then that's just going to help you out. It's going to give people more context, and it's going to allow you to rank for more keywords. Scrolling down, we do see explore preschools in major metros. Let's just double check. This is also an H2 right here. I like this from a UX perspective because people get quick access to daycares in the most popular cities. But I do think that because it's an H2, you do want to, again, include a keyword you want to target in the header 2. So if you don't want to do that and you want to keep it the same, I would probably just make this like an H4, H5, or just a paragraph text that just looks the same. The reason is it's a daycare directory, and if it were me owning this directory, I would build the entire website around daycare, and I would hyper specialize in that. That doesn't mean that you can't talk about preschools, but I would probably just make sure that the hierarchy on my homepage is really clear to Google. Your H1 is about daycare. If you change this, this will be about daycare too. And if you have preschools in your H3, then you can kind of clearly tell Google what the most important niche you're targeting is. Okay, find best daycares by city. This is great. I would literally just keep it the same. So pretty clean homepage. What would I improve? I would probably include an FAQ section. And if you're curious what you should include in your FAQ section, just look at what's already working. All these common questions are around the price point of daycare, which makes sense because it's really expensive. I hear it can be $2,000 a month. So these types of questions is what I would get inspiration from when I'm creating my FAQ section that I would put on the bottom of my homepage. I would also just add more text. I think people could use a little bit more context when it comes to how you're finding these daycare spots, how you vet them. You do say powered by real parents and AI insights. I think there's a way where you can basically tell people that you use AI without using the word AI to give people context on why they should trust your website. What are they going to find on your directory that they're not going to find elsewhere? Let's look at some actual listings here. So this is looking very good. I love the multiple images here. We have the name, the address, some reviews. We have a little description right here with the hours, which is great. Little call to action for call now, book a tour, and get directions with the license number here that goes to a .gov website, which is pretty cool because if you're a parent, you want to trust the facility you're giving your kids to is actually licensed and professional. I would probably want to see a little bit more data enrichment, and I would research and do some social listening on Reddit or TikTok or other social media platforms to try to understand what are people concerned about when they're choosing a daycare. Is it really just price? And if it is, then how can we somehow include some intel on the price of Fairyland Daycare? I know that doesn't really seem scalable because you'd probably have to call them and maybe that information isn't publicly available, but I think that could be really, really valuable. I like the option that people can write a review. I think that's really smart. Maybe there's a way down the line when you get more traffic to incentivize people to write a review. I also like the breadcrumbs. This is really, really solid. If I look at the image name, I do see that you included Fairyland Daycare in the actual name of the image, which is good. I do see in the header you have some foundational pages like your story, which is basically about us, which is solid. These foundational pages are always recommended to include. I would have to research more to see if there are any blog topics that are worth writing a blog around, but I think this is fine. We have sponsor, $99 a year. I think that's underselling yourself. If you're already getting leads and they turn into customers that are paying $2,000 a month, I think this can probably be $200 a month. I think that leaves plenty of room on the table for them as a business, and I think this is a little bit too low in my opinion. So pretty nice and simple directory. Let's look at some stats here. So as we mentioned, this directory was built right around, it looks like February 9th, if I had to guess, or that first week of February. And I'm just gonna look at your top pages here. You have 463 index pages, and the traffic seems to be going to actual listing pages. I can just tell. Everbook Academy of Irvine, this is getting 6 monthly visitors. And if we just look at the URLs, we can tell these are all listings. If we go to keywords here, then we can see Everbrook Academy Irvine is being searched 150 times every single month, and you are position 8, which is pretty insane. So this directory is 3.5 months old. It's already ranking at the end of the first page for this daycare spot, especially with no backlinks too. I saw that you have 4 backlinks. Yeah, these backlinks are basically, nothing burgers. You have a spam backlink here, and then these are just kind of whatever. So the fact that you're ranking on the first page for these keywords is kind of amazing. This is a hockey stick like growth right here, and we can take a look at some of the keywords that you're ranking for. There's what I assume will be a lot of daycares that you're ranking for here. Okay, look at these positions. Rank 8, rank 10, 11, 8, 6, 5 for Dianith Nevarez. Considering the age of this website, if I owned this directory, I'd be super happy with these results so far. So if I were you, what would I work on? I would probably say backlinks is definitely the next big area you want to focus on. And one idea that I would try if I were you is that since you're already getting leads that are coming through this website, I would use that as leverage, as a bartering chip, to go over to those daycare spots, try to talk to a decision maker and say, hey, I have this lead and I own this directory around daycares. Do you think you'd be interested if I gave you this lead in exchange for a backlink? You're gonna have to break it down for them because they probably won't know, or they have an IT person. So not only would you start building that relationship with a daycare that if they close that lead, they may want to work with you. They may want to buy a sponsored listing, but you're using your strongest form of leverage right now, which is you are a lead magnet for something that will lead into a $2,000 a month customer. The second thing that I would consider improving is tackling the price transparency issue when it comes to daycares. We saw from the people also ask questions that a lot of people want to know how much a daycare spot is going to be. And if you can find a way to just give a little bit of value, a little bit of intel, then I think that would be super helpful. But amazing job, Andy, and I would be really proud if I owned this directory. So directory number 2 is kid-entertainment.com. Kid Entertainment Directory, find family-friendly activities this directory is also very, very new. It looks like it was started right in the beginning of April, so that puts us right around a month and a half old. Already getting some traffic, 39 monthly visitors and some keywords, but let's take a look at the website directory first. Let's take a look at this header first. This looks like a header 1, so that's fine. And let me check to see this one real quick. This is a header 2, and this is going to be paragraph text. So I'm assuming you're targeting the keyword kid entertainment, and I don't think you should include the word directory. I don't think it's really necessary, but kid entertainment is what I'm curious about. Now I looked it up in Ahrefs, and we don't see a lot of search volume here. We have a total addressable search market of 1,200 monthly searches for keywords containing kid entertainment. I already know if we dug around, we can find keywords that have the same exact search intent that have higher search volume. So that's the first improvement I would probably make. I would say drop the directory and then take kid entertainment, do some research and see what else is out there. Maybe it's family friendly activities. We can actually check that real quick. So yeah, this is already better. We see 6,500 total monthly searches for keywords containing family-friendly activities right here. And this is a pretty low competition keyword. So what I'd probably do is take this header 2, find family-friendly activities, and I would just put it as your H1. Really simple fix. Maybe you can say find family-friendly activities near you. And maybe you can just get rid of this entire header as a whole and just keep this as a header 1 and then this as a paragraph text. Cool, we have name, type, or location. You have a nice filter here. There's a bunch of different filters, which I think are pretty useful. And then we have our listings. And these look like very nice listings right off the bat. The name, address, phone number with a description and these tags right here. So at the end, it's just join your newsletter. I think that's fine. By the way, this was built by Dina in the community, so thank you, Dina. Your homepage is a very valuable resource. So I think I would like to see a little bit more segmentation when it comes to different types of kid-friendly entertainment places. For example, I see that you have a tag here for playground, so I just kind of looked around Ahrefs and looked on this left side panel, and I do see kids right here. So kids indoor playground or kids playground, this gets 5,300 monthly searches and a keyword difficulty of 14. So why not add a header 2 that's targeting kids playgrounds, and then you can include the relevant listings underneath that header and kind of do the same for other keywords based on what you already have here. Like zoo will definitely have keywords as well as summer camp for kids. You know, these are keywords that I'm pretty sure you could target. But one thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to veer off into too many categories. And that's one thing that I'm kind of concerned about looking at this directory. I don't know if you're going to have the advantage of topical authority. You know, if you were just to make a directory around indoor playground for kids and all of your web pages and listings were only about that niche, then in my opinion, you have a higher chance at ranking for those high volume keywords like indoor playground. Let's take a look at some of your listings here. I like that you have this banner image. I'm really liking this. Love the data enrichment here. I think this is so useful. I see that you have some headers right here. Is this a header 2? Yep, about world famous giant museum. And this is the header 1, I assume. Yep. So one idea on your listing pages is you already have this as your header 1, and I'm not sure if it's getting that much search volume. So it's not really getting a lot of search. And so what I might consider is in your header 2, try to sneak in the keyword family-friendly activities, if that's the keyword that you're targeting. Now, this is a tourist attraction, but for some of your tags for indoor playground for kids, I personally would put that keyword in your header 2. This is in Seattle, and we have some relevant internal links. I think this is pretty solid. This is more or less what I would do exactly if I were building a directory in this space. I don't see anything wrong with this. You have your About Us page right here, so that's solid. Let's take a look at some stats. We have 368 keywords that you're already ranking for. 1 backlink, you know, I get it. You're just getting started. Let's take a look at some of the keywords that you're already ranking for. Ballard Play Space, Selfie Museum Seattle, Fox in a Box Seattle. Is this a Seattle only directory? Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. Okay, that actually does kind of change things. Maybe it's a Washington specific directory. I would still do some segmentation, but even though this is broad, like you're covering a lot of categories, the fact that you're going in on Washington specifically, that makes a lot of sense. And I have seen more of these play out successfully, where it's kind of more broad. It's like things to do in California. Some of those directories are pretty massive, and there's a lot of room to win. And as we can see, there's a lot of places just just naturally everywhere we go that are famous. Ballard, PlaySpace, all these places. You can use this existing search volume as leverage to start to rank for these keywords. And you already are. You're rank 8 for West Woodland Park Playground, and it only gets 50 monthly searches, but that's still pretty good. We take that every single day of the week. Actually, there's quite a few keywords where you're already on the first page with 0 backlinks. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. If you choose a low competition niche or a certain keyword, you can get on the front page with 0 backlinks. And it's not like the rarest thing in the world. Yeah, this is really awesome. I'm sorry I didn't catch that this was a Washington specific directory. Top pages here, 53 index pages. The top traffic page is a listing for Ballard PlaySpace. This page is ranking for 9 keywords. I always say when you build a directory, you're gonna start ranking for keywords that you didn't even know were on the radar. I don't know if you intended on ranking for these keywords down here, but you did. And look at this one. This is a Tukwila Family Fun Center and Bullwinkle's Restaurant. This is ranking for 36 keywords right here. And some of them are definitely creeping up higher in the rankings. It's still early and I would want to see what this website looks like in a month or two. But in the meantime, I would say I would just build out more pages. You're doing an incredible job with your listing pages. I would also focus on backlinks after maybe a month or so, but I think this is an area where it might present some challenges. Just looking at things like an indoor playground or like a museum, it seems like it might be difficult to actually reach someone who's running a website to give you a backlink. I guess if it were me, I would probably just scroll down here and see what competition I have. And you have Seattle Attractions right here. And this is getting a good amount of traffic, 14,000 or I guess 5,000 monthly visitors. But they have a good amount of backlinks. I would look at their backlinks and see if there are any of these websites that you can go and reach out to, because maybe it makes more sense to go after like a blog or an article or a magazine or some kind of local online newspaper, that kind of stuff. I think that's the play here. But yeah, really good stuff. I think with a little bit of time, some backlinks, and if you keep building out these pages, this could be pretty good. The third roast of the day is by Cheryl in the community. Thank you, Cheryl, for letting us check out your directory, christchurchonline.co.uk. So for all the UK people who have been commenting saying, hey, do you have any UK based niches? Here's one example. Now, based on the domain and the header right here, Discover Christchurch, I can only assume that this is all around Christ related places, maybe churches would be my guess, but we'll take a look. We have businesses, events, clubs, and job boards, which I was told from Cheryl to ignore because it's still in development, but we do have a bunch of categories. Okay, this is a lot of categories. Before we go any further, Discover Christchurch would probably be your H1. Just want to make sure. Yep, that's your H1. I would say that you want to include a keyword here, just like the other two examples. And since you're already getting some traffic, here's the stats, by the way. 191 monthly visitors with 195 keywords. You can find a keyword that more accurately describes what your directory is about. Now, looking at all the categories, that might be a little bit challenging. Oh, I did a little bit of digging and I think I got it all wrong. Christchurch is a town. Christchurch is a town and civil parish on the south coast of Dorset, England. Okay, so this isn't a directory around Christian-related things. It is a local directory for a bunch of different categories within a very specific town. I mean, clearly this is an opportunity that I haven't talked about enough, which is if you build a broader directory in a very specific location, you can start to see some seriously good results really quickly. With that said, I would still consider playing around with the header 1. Discover Christchurch is good. I mean, you have the actual name of the place in your header 1, but if we look up Christchurch and we look up United Kingdom, let's take a look. We have our broad keyword Christchurch right here that gets 26,000 monthly searches. That's probably too broad to expect to rank for. But if you look at all the other keywords, they are pretty specific. We have a hotel, another hotel, BBC weather. We have the Jetty, which apparently is a very popular restaurant. So I guess it is kind of hard to pinpoint an exact keyword to put as your header 1. From a user experience perspective though, I would probably try to spruce it up a little bit. You know, what can people expect to find on your directory? Maybe it's Discover Christchurch's top attractions, something along those lines. And then I would include maybe a little paragraph text. Filter by category, I like this. This is really straightforward. So you can try to include some kind of segmentation. Just like I said with the last example, we did see kind of hotels and restaurants. Maybe you can do something where it's like Christchurch's top hotels, or Christchurch's top restaurants, and then you can kind of filter the categories that way. Maybe even include, instead of the category, specific listings that have to do with, the top restaurants, for example, just like you did right here. But instead of popular listings, try to segment it out a little bit more. The reason I say that is because as you get backlinks, remember, if you have a backlink coming to your homepage, that backlink juice, that backlink equity is going to flow into any of these pages that you've internally linked. And I can already tell with this type of directory, all the traffic is going to go to the listing pages. And I'd be willing to bet if we looked at your top pages really quickly, then we can see that the most traffic pages are actual listings. So this gets the most traffic, and this is going to be, it's a 404 page. So you may want to fix that. Kind of impressive, it's still getting 106 monthly visitors, but let's just go to the next one real quick. This is another 404 page. So Cheryl, definitely want to fix these. Either remove them completely or just add some content. Clearly it's low competition because you're getting traffic just by naming the URL after these low competition keywords. Let's go down here. Okay, so this isn't a listing. I can see the breadcrumbs here. This is a blog post, but let's just take a quick look. Okay, this is a listing for Matthew's shoes. But my point was, I can expect a directory like this to have a lot of the traffic going to the actual listing pages. We're kind of starting to see that play out a little bit right here. And I would assume this is probably a listing page as well. Yep, this is a listing page. So to put it simply, I would fix these headers right here and make them really specific. Maybe you can even include the listings that have the highest search volume, like this hotel right here. That gets 7,600 monthly visitors. We have events in Christchurch. This is exactly what I was talking about. I think you should do this across the board, or just do it for what you think are the top categories you want to rank in. Maybe it's by search volume. Latest articles and news. Is this another header too? Yes, it is. So in this case, since latest articles and news doesn't really contain any keywords, it's not really benefiting from an SEO perspective, I would just downgrade it to a header 4 or 5, maybe a paragraph text. And the idea is that you don't want to confuse Google with the hierarchy of your web pages. By assigning this as a header 2 right now, you're basically saying it's just as important as events in Christchurch, and that you should be ranking for this text right here, which is pretty general. Nice, you got about us, contact us. Yeah, pricing, kind of curious about that. And we have some sponsored listings. I love this. Let's take a look at the listing pages real quick. Okay, some formatting issues. This hopefully should be relatively easy to fix. Let's look at your URL structure. christchurchonline.co.uk, business, UK, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, Christchurch 1, Central Park. Now there's a lot going on in this URL slug. I think you can clean it up a little bit. Okay, so this is pulling from the address. Now, if you do want to use this part of the address, you can say christchurchonline.co.uk / Christchurch / Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, and then / the actual listing, Captain's Club Hotel and Spa. But yeah, solid listing page. I like the images. You have some tags here, good amount of text, some solid internal links. I think that you can also internally link based on your category. Okay, mobile responsiveness looks good. Let's take a deeper look at some analytics. So we do have some backlinks coming in, and your DR is climbing, which is a great sign. 195 keywords. Let's just take a look at those. Awesome, all UK based, and they are kind of specific to these different places. It's kind of broad because you have so many categories, but I think that's fine because look at the position. You're crushing it. You have a lot of first page rankings for these keywords. This is really, really good to see. If we look at the traffic chart, we can see that this was started right around the beginning of July 2024. Now, I didn't check thoroughly, so I thought all these directories were really new, but this is actually coming up on almost a year old, not quite, maybe 10 months old or so. And that explains why your stats are looking nicer. Now, if I own this website, what would I do to improve it? You definitely want to fix those broken links. Those are some of your highest traffic pages, so it's showing some promise. I would just either fix them up or remove them. I think your listing pages look great, but I would make some changes to your homepage. I would try to fix the headers a little bit, maybe segment them a little bit more, add some more listing pages from popular places, and then fix that header 1 that goes on the very top of your homepage. When it comes to building backlinks, it might be kind of a similar challenge with the last one, which is it's kind of a broad category directory. So the chances of you getting a backlink from like a restaurant or a hotel is pretty slim. So you might want to approach different blogs or articles from local websites and see if you can get them to give you a backlink that way. In general, Christchurch is quite small as a population. I looked it up and it says there's 31,000 in the parish and around 50,000 for the wider borough. The disadvantage is that the market is just small. You know, I don't know how far you can take this even if you did optimize everything. I would try building a directory in not only a bigger place, like a bigger region, but try to go more specific into one category. The larger the region, the more specific you have to be. The smaller the region, the more you can get away with broader categories like what you've done. Whew! So those are 3 directories that were built by you, the community. I love seeing what you guys are up to. I think these examples bring up some pretty common challenges that could help people while they're building their own directories. So with that, don't forget to join the free directory community. Would love to see you in there and see you build something cool. I'll do my best to answer some questions. Appreciate your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.